Thank you so much, Simpiwe. You are correct. Now we see the cortege making its way at the venue, and on the background you can hear the music, and also the master of ceremonies, Sihle Zikalala, has started already with introduction in terms of the do's and don'ts. And I think, Mzwai, let me bring you in here. Quite an important moment as we see the arrival of the president, as we see that cortege making its way now here at this venue. They are right inside. In front we see the ANC flag, and also his coffin draped with ANC flag.
Indeed, as much as this is the late ambassador that the country is bearing today, he is someone who belonged to a political party, and I think that political party would want to obviously show that one of its own, one of the people who is highly regarded is being laid to rest today. So you would see that interchange and that interface as we go on. Indeed, we know him because of his party, and then his contributions were made largely through the vehicle, which is his party, and then it is understandable why it will feature so prominently. I mean, even if you look at the number of ordinary people who are attending, so they are indeed wearing many of them ANC colors.
And of course, Mzwai, as we speak, right, you are seeing the arrival of the body there. You think about the man, as you speak about the ANC, in his role as the chairperson of the subcommittee of the NEC on strategy and tactics, right? One of the focuses of that particular document looks at the evolving character of the African National Congress. And one wonders if they've been able to process the evolution of the character of the ANC, given the fact that conference after conference, we often hear about the quality of the cadres of the ANC.
And the fact that we are told that he was concerned about the state of the party tells you that perhaps some of those strategy and tactics you are speaking about may not necessarily be at the center of what they had envisioned in terms of trying to renew the party. Yes, the renewal is, I guess, the word that is being used so often, but the question is, are you then able to then implement some of those issues that will get you up there, that will make sure that you are able to then renew. So someone like Nathi Mthethwa really will be remembered for his perhaps calm demeanor, even sometimes on difficult situations, because he is someone who did deal quite extensively with the strategy and tactics. Remember, there you have to think, you have to process issues before you take a decision.
And especially because Malusi Gigaba speaks about Nathi the thinker, Nathi the reader, Nathi the man who needed to make complex issues very simple, even for the ordinary members of the African National Congress. But one wonders, Mzwai, in the process of renewal, as they've now termed it, right, do you get a sense that the ANC currently understands what that looks like?
Well, it's very difficult really to give you a yes and no answer, given what has really been happening. So you would see some instances where you say, well, perhaps they do understand. But at the same time, you see something that is totally different to projecting that message of understanding. But the fact of the matter is that they have acknowledged that something will have to be done, something drastic must be done, and then I guess once you are able to acknowledge some of the issues and the difficulties that you face, it becomes easier to then start tackling them, because when you are in denial, so you'll keep saying things that really can't relate to the people. But if you start to acknowledge, perhaps is the first step to say, I want to address this and I want to address it for real.
And of course, we are still coming to you live from the Siyabonga Sangweni Sports Complex here in Kwambonambi in Dondota. And this is a place, as we've heard, that is quite close, was very, very close to his heart. And it's no surprise, even as part of the cortege, as part of the mourners here, we're seeing the members of Isonto Lama Nazareta, because that is the church that, his family actually belonged to. And we were reminded yesterday by the spokesperson of the family that in fact he was married by a Catholic priest, so we should never also forget about that particular point. And speaking about the fact that they're going to be making sure that all the faiths are represented quite well in this particular program, Sophie.
Yes, you are correct. As you know that the ANC is a broad church, and therefore they have to accommodate all different faith organizations or faith-based organizations. You know that much as you might belong to a particular church and the church will play a prominent role, you'd still want to accommodate other churches because of the ANC's approach to inclusivity when it was launched in 1912. And much as there are challenges within this oldest liberation organization, they know the founding fathers, what they were up to. That is why at some point in time it was led by men of faith. I mean, you talk about Reverend the founding member of the ANC. You know, whether you talk about other leaders that came, many of them who led at the highest office in the land in terms of the ANC, they were of different faith-based organizations.
In fact, talking about that accommodation, Sophie, we saw the fact that the funeral is taking place on a Sunday because the Shembe religion observes Saturday, so they tend not to do a lot of things on Saturday. And even him not being Shembe himself, but the majority of the members of the family, and then that is the accommodation we are speaking about. So we're seeing it in practice.
And of course, as we continue to bring you live visuals as the body of the late Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa arrives draped in an ANC flag. And just a reminder to our viewers that this is a special official funeral category 2. It's going to have elements of police ceremonial honors. That is what the President of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa, has accorded to him. And Mzwai, that's exactly what's currently happening there as they go into that particular tent.
Oh yes, and speaking about the special official funeral, so those are the funerals that are given really to individuals who have served in particular roles or whose contributions in society have really been excellent. So the fact that it's an official funeral does tell you that it's a recognition from those who are in authority, and to say here is one of you who served, and then we are honoring him because he's no more. So category 2, as you've said, would deal largely with the ceremonies in relation to police. Remember, there's also category 1, special official funeral category 1, and then you can go up. So there's a number of them. Obviously, relating to the president will be the state funeral. So I know sometimes we use it interchangeably, but I guess time and again, I think it's important to remind the viewers so what these categories mean and why someone gets even accorded a category.
That is why they're getting into that marquee. They are going to now take the ANC flag, and when the coffin is taken out of that marquee, you'll see now you will have the flag of the Republic of South Africa. As you pointed out, that it's an official funeral, category 2.
And of course, as we continue to bring you these live visuals here, just a reminder of as the conversations continue here at the Siyabonga Sangweni Sports Complex, where the funeral service of the late Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa will begin shortly. But we think about one of those in those vehicles is his wife, Philisiwe Mthethwa. And she is arriving, and you think about the fact that this is someone who had to process all of this far away from everyone. She was the first responder, as traumatized, but you still need to be strong because processes must be done.
I saw that trauma yesterday firsthand when I got into the rondavel where she was, and with the casket in there. When I spoke to her, ngesintu ase matrasing kasithu ale adutsi matrasing me ubona batho ba baholo bo mme dikgoku tsa motse wa ha Mthethwa le wa ha Buthelezi di motsieditse empa e seng tsona fela dikgoku tsa malapa ho kenyeletswa le metswalle njengoba ngishulo ukuthi umam Glorious Robe soloka amseka njengentombazana ekhulayo ezimisele ukuba emabhizinisini njengoba simbona futhi she is in the program Glorious Robe supporting her, and it will be interesting to hear what she is going to say as a mother, a mentor, a sister to Philisile, because you are correct. You can imagine you are 1,000 miles away from home and this tragedy strikes. You are on your own. You are surrounded by strangers. Yes, of course, the embassy, the officials in Paris will rush and be around her. But you'd recall the first person who arrived was the niece, the daughter of the brother who came. And then, of course, Dr. Buthelezi arrived 2 days after. So she's gone through a very difficult time. And I saw when she broke down yesterday that almost like a relief also to say, at least now I'm not on my own.
And speaking about the family Mzwai, as I bring you back in, looking at Umkhululi Mthethwa, for example, his son, he described the trauma when they had gone to perform the ritual of collecting the spirit. He describes the trauma of having to go to the 22nd floor, to the room, and to now have to kind of try to piece together what could have happened, what could have been the last moments of his father, and it speaks to the gravity of this loss. Mzwai ngoba ngesizulu sithi baqemeke ingozi engeqiwa ntwala, and you're looking at the family Mzwai that is, I suppose, searching for answers too.
And I think that will be the biggest problem at the moment, as we see the Minister of Police who is on special leave, and we know the Madlanga Commission is in session because of that. So basically, back to your question, the answers that South Africans would want to know, why did the situation happen the way it did? What is it that could have driven the former ambassador, the late ambassador, the former minister to perhaps do what people think he did, if indeed he fell from the 22nd floor? And at this stage we haven't reached any conclusion, but in terms of the reports that we have, so there doesn't appear to be the foul play, as the Minister of DERCO also did indicate. So the questions would be why, and I think that's what Mkhululi, the bigger family, of course, and South Africans will be asking themselves, what is it that could have led to this kind of tragedy?
Well, I think you are correct, Mzwai, because if you have a senior diplomat in Europe or in any country experience what we experienced in terms of his passing on, as a country, people will ask questions, but because you don't want this perceptions and speculations and conspiracies to take root, you will then get to the bottom of the matter. And I think that is why the South African government decided to send a police official to go and work with his counterparts. Let's perhaps take it, just internalize this moment as we see people moving in. They are moving. You can see, as we pointed out, Pilisile there, Dr. Dlamini Zuma there on her side and supporting her. And you have the leaders of the ANC at the back with the coffin. You have there the DSG of the ANC, Nomvula Mokonyane, and also the spokesperson of the ANC, Mahlengi Bengu. And we see Melusi Kikaba at the back there, a friend who is going to speak later today, the former president of the ANC Women's League, Bathabile Dlamini, and Alvin Bottas, the Deputy Minister of International Relations, because this is the person that they work with very, very close as the Deputy President is approaching, going inside, the man who met him in July.
Indeed, Sophie, his comrades, I see also the Secretary General of the ANC is part of the team that is walking behind. So clearly,
Mom Joyce, you know, the biggest
Mama
fan.
Joy.
Mama Joy. Mama Joy.
And
they were very close.
And you know, part of if people couldn't understand why someone like Mama Joy, you'd recall that at some point there were those who were known as super fans during the tenure of Minister Mthethwa.
Yeah.
So he made it possible for people who support sport, soccer and across to be recognized, and not only recognized, some of them to be sponsored to go to some of those trips to support our national teams. That's why you see someone like Mama Joy.
And of course, as Mzwayi, you speak about that, the Deputy Minister, the former Deputy Minister Noktawe Mafu, says that for her, he always, even when faced with a crisis, would say, calm down, DM. And you can imagine that 22 million rand flag uproar at the time. And she says, whenever there would be crisis, he would just say, calm down. We just need to do what we need to do, particularly even when it comes to the constituents, to make sure that even sport is recognized in South Africa. Because I suppose, Mzwayi, one of the big things is that when you think about sport, right, and you look at someone like Mama Joy, it's a unifier. That's how it's been described in South Africa. Being able to come together, South Africans from all walks of life, to support the national teams. And as, of course, now we're hearing from the program director saying that the procession is making its way in. I suppose we'll take in some of these visuals here.
Has a great demand of the French language.
The president is here with us.
Helping the family then communicate.
His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. The Deputy President is here. Deputy President Paul Mashatile, together with the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, we're now going to be observing the procession, as this is the special funeral, and therefore will be led by members of the SAPS, who will be coming in with the body of our comrade and former minister, Comrade Mthethwa.